Hey there viewers, I got a new tool that I wanted to show you. I was in the market recently for a fuel injector tester, and after doing some homework found a unit that I think is a great alternative to one of the most popular tools out there for the DIYer. If you watch very many automotive diagnostic videos on YouTube, you'll see that most of the top level guys use the OTC fuel injector tester. It costs about $115, and it has 3 modes of operation that allow you to pulse the injectors for doing cylinder contribution testing and injector evaluation. As a DIYer though, I was looking for, first of all, a cheaper alternative to that, and second of all, I was looking for a unit that had an additional mode of operation. That additional mode of operation that I wanted was one that would allow you to operate the injectors continuously, so that you could do things like fuel volume testing, spray pattern inspection, and also ultrasonic cleaning. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to find anything like that, primarily because I've literally never seen one on YouTube. I have not seen any of the top level guys that I watch, or guys that I've even come across in searches, using anything but the OTC tool. So I really didn't think I was going to have much luck. But I'm happy to say, after doing some homework, that I did find a unit that I think is a great alternative to the OTC, and a great choice for the DIYer such as myself, who's only going to use it occasionally. So this is the AllSun EM276 injector tester. I bought it online. It cost me $30. And I know you're probably saying, wow, $30, it's got to be a piece of junk. But I have to tell you that I'm very pleasantly surprised with what I got for my money. And after using it for a couple of weeks in multiple different situations, I have to say that I think this thing's a great deal for the DIYer, and possibly for those of you out there who are advanced and actually make money repairing cars. So I'll tell you a little bit about the tool, and then I will hook it up and run through the modes and fire an injector with it and show you how it works. So first of all, the unit comes in a padded carrying case, and it's about as good as you would expect a $30 tool case to be. But it's got a adjustable divider here, so how bad could it be? It comes with a set of instructions, and whoever wrote the instructions obviously understood English pretty well, because the instructions are well written enough that they're usable, unlike some other things that you get these days. Now, I took the time out to make a set of a little card here with all the different modes for quick reference, and you can see that you've got mode 1, which is 1 pulse at 250, mode 2, which is 50 pulses at 7 milliseconds, mode 3, which is 100 pulses at 3.5, and then here's that mode that I said I wanted so much before. That's the mode 4, the continuous operation mode, which is 50 pulses every 1.5 seconds at 7 milliseconds pulse width. So the tool itself is made of plastic. No big surprise there, but I will say that the fitment of the case is really good. There's no gaps or indication that it's just slapped together, or that it's El Cheapo. So I thought that was pretty cool. On the back is the standard issue safety warning stuff. This unit passed QC, which is confidence inspiring. The back has a battery case, or a battery compartment rather, and it has no connection for a battery, but that's because this case is also used by AllSun for a different device. However, you can block this hole here and use this as a storage compartment if you wanted to, I guess. On the front is pretty well done. This sticker or label is well printed. It looks pretty decent. Everything's clear. And one thing that's pretty cool about this is that the sticker here on the front, or the label, whatever you want to call it, is flush mounted with the case. So it almost seems like it's part of the case. In fact, it wasn't until I took this apart that I realized that it was a sticker and not sort of molded into the case. And I don't know if I can show you. But you can see pretty clearly that it's flush mounted, and that's kind of a nice effect. The front has two flush mounted tactile style buttons, and normally I don't like those, but I have to say on these they're particularly good in that they give excellent feedback. Up at the top here you've got an indication as to what all the modes are. The LED here will show which mode you're in. There's also an LED here that shows you when the unit is in operation. So if you hit pulse, it will flash indicating that the pulses are being sent, or I guess you could say that the unit is in operation. Coming out of the top here, you've got two cables. One's your battery connection. That's how this thing is powered up. And the wires are obviously multiple strand wires because they're pretty soft and flexible. So to me that means that there aren't 2 or 3 thick strands of wire inside here, but probably 5 or 10 instead. The alligator clips are standard issue, I guess, budget items, but the springs are particularly strong, and I've never had a single problem with them coming off. One other nice touch on this is the fact that AllSun has soldered the wire to the alligator clip here, and they've done a nice job. Now, one thing about this cable, I think I mentioned these are 16 inches long, so if we were to spread these out end to end, you have 32 inches to work with. But I think some people might object to the fact that these cables are only 16 inches long. But what the heck, if that's a problem, just desolder the wire and put a length of wire in there that works for you. Or if you're adverse to soldering, just cut it, and put a length of wire in there that works for you. Okay, the other cable coming out of the top is the connection to the fuel injector. This is the same cable, feels exactly the same. And the cable is terminated in 2 female spade lugs. Now I know a lot of people are going to say, well, man, that really sucks. And I have to be honest with you, I thought the same thing. How are you going to deal with that? But let's face it, it's really not a big problem. And I don't think I need to spend a lot of time telling competent DIYers how to overcome a simple issue like this, but I will show you how I did it. Recently, excuse me, recently I bought a set of used injectors, and I was fortunate enough to get the harness, or to get the connector off of the wiring harness of the car. So what I did was I just took that and I cut the ends off of the wires, and I put 2 male spade lug connectors on the end of that. And then, it's just a very simple matter of connecting to the tool, and that takes care of that. So that's, how I did it. That's probably the easiest possible way. However, as an alternative, you can just go ahead and get, a couple of spade lugs, some wire, and either 2 small alligator clips, and connect to these 2 pins inside the injector. Or let's see, you can do something else that I did, and what I did was, as an alternative to this, at the junkyard, I found a connector with similar sized pins, and I took those out of the connector, and then I just used that on the end of a wire to connect to the injector. But you know, you guys can, I'm sure you guys can think of something that will work for you. So anyway, while this does seem like it's going to be a hassle, it's really not that bad. So that's it. That's the tool. There really isn't much else to it. I will say that I thought that there were 3 things about this that most people would object to, and I think I covered that. So it's the length of the connection, or the length of the cable that connects to the battery, the way that the injector wires are terminated, which really isn't a big deal if you consider the price point of the tool, $30 versus $115 for the OTC. And then finally, there's something that I can't show you right now, but it's the way that this operates when it's powered up. And that is that once you select a mode and you hit pulse, you're locked into that mode until you momentarily disconnect the power and recycle the power on the tool. So for example, if I select mode number 1 and I pulse it and send pulse to the injector, I'm locked into that mode from that point on. And if I want to get to the the other modes here that are available, I have to recycle the power. And again, that's really no big deal, because when you're doing an injector test, you're going to test them all in the same mode anyway. And even if you do want to change modes, you reach over 16 inches and you disconnect the power for a second, and you're back in business. So I don't really think that any of these things are insurmountable or an overwhelming inconvenience. I certainly haven't had any problem with them. Anyway, that's pretty much the tool. So what I'll do now is I will hook it up to a battery that I've got over here, and then we'll run through the modes. I'll connect my injector up, and I'll show you how it operates, and then we'll wrap it up. So stand by while I get set up. Alright, I think I've got everything ready here to get started. I've got my fuel injector connected up. It's connected up the same way as it was before with the harness connector. Got a little battery over here, over on the right hand side, so let's go ahead and connect this up and run through the modes. As you can see, it comes on in mode 0, indicating obviously that nothing is selected. And to select the first mode, mode number 1, just hit mode set, and you can cycle through right now with no problem. So mode number 1 is a single pulse at 250 milliseconds. And let's see what that does. So to operate the tool, you just press and release the button. You don't have to hold it down. And first you'll hear the button clicking, and then you'll hear the injector. And it's easier to hear on the other ones, but that's a single pulse at 250 milliseconds. Now here's what I was talking about before about being locked into a mode. Now that I've pulsed the injector, I can't change modes. So in order to change modes, I have to come over here and disconnect power for a second, and then I'm able to cycle through again. So minor inconvenience. So this is mode number 2. Mode number 2 is 50 pulses at 7 milliseconds pulse width. And now let's go to mode number 3. And mode number 3 is 100 pulses at a 3.5 milliseconds pulse width. And then finally, here's mode number 4. This is the mode that I really wanted, the one that I felt I needed to be able to do fuel volume testing, spray pattern inspection, as well as ultrasonic cleaning. And mode number 4 is a continuous 50 pulses every 1.5 seconds at a 7 milliseconds pulse width. Now the tool will just, or the injector will just run continuously. There's no timeout or anything that's going to take place. You just set it and forget it. And when I was doing the ultrasonic cleaning of these 4 injectors that I'm using today, I ran each one for about, let's see, I don't know, 7 minutes each. So that was about, almost 30 minutes of continuous operation without any problems whatsoever from the tool. It just ran and ran and ran, no problem. So that's mode number 4. I really think that that is a great addition and an advantage that this tool has over the OTC. That you can operate the injector continuously. I just think that that's terrific. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people have a way of doing that. But the only other continuous operation mode I've seen is on the test stands that these guys who are running injector service businesses have. That's where you see these guys running them continuously and running them through different cycles to get the injector cleaned and to test the pattern and the volume. So frankly, I think this is awesome in that regard. And as I said before, I think that this is going to be a great addition to a DIYer's toolbox. And some of you who are advanced or, like I said before, you make money fixing cars, this thing is something worth looking at, because for the price and for the fact that it has that additional mode number 4, I think it's a pretty darn good deal. Anyway, that's my 2 cents about the AllSun EM276 injector tester. Not a bad deal for 1/4 the cost of the OTC tool. One other thing that I think that just came to mind here before I sign off is that the OTC tool has a 3-position slide switch on the front and what I believe is a momentary push to test switch over on the left-hand side that pokes up out of the case. And I think on some level, having these sealed buttons like this that are flush mounted is a little bit of an advantage, quite frankly, over what the OTC tool has. So this thing is, I think it's pretty neat and definitely worthwhile, at least considering. So I hope this helps you make an informed decision, if you're in the market for one of these like I was. And, I hope you, enjoyed, seeing what the tool can do. Now, I will say that I'm considering hooking this up to the Vantage Pro oscilloscope and looking at the waveforms that this thing generates. I wanted to see what, a injector ramp, current ramp looks like. And I also wanted to look at the pulses that this generates, count whether or not it's actually putting out 50, actually putting out 100 and so forth. So if you want to see something nerdy like that, stick around. I'll show you that next. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this and thanks for watching. Welcome back everybody, and thanks for sticking with it this long and for coming back to see this. So what I'd like to do is real quick run through the 4 modes and show you the current ramps and then the pulses, and then we'll just do that real quickly. So I've got the scope set up, and I do want to send out a special thank you and a shout out to Ivan over at Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics for recommending to me that I get the Vantage Pro over the U-scope that I was considering. It was absolutely the right decision, and I just want to say thank you for sharing your expertise with me. Now I'm going to go ahead and hook up the tool and go to mode number 1, which is a single 250 millisecond pulse. And we'll see if we can catch it here on the screen for you. All right, so there you go. There's your ramp up, your ramp down, and you can see it's pretty clean. And if I just keep pulsing it over and over and over again, it will just repeat over and over and over again, as you would expect. So I'll go ahead and unfreeze the screen, and that's it. What I want to do now is just come down here and change the time base to 10 seconds and show you what that looks like. Let's go ahead and freeze that for you. So what you have here is the classic current ramp, current is climbing. There's your pintle hump, and then the trace continues off the screen for the rest of the 250 milliseconds. Point is that now you can see what you would expect to see on the car if you were doing a current ramp. And honestly, I'm pretty amazed at how clearly you can see the pintle hump. I didn't think it would be that easy to see, but it is, and that's pretty neat. All right, so we'll unfreeze the screen. We will come down to our time base, which actually is going to be correct for the next mode. Mode number 2 is 50 pulses at 7 milliseconds. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so there you go. You've got similar current ramp, ramps up, pintle hump, ramps down. You know, pretty much exactly what you would expect. And now what we'll do is we'll unfreeze the screen, come over here and do, let's see, I think 200 will show us our 50 pulses in a row. Hopefully my battery will hold up for this test. Okay, so we'll come up here, freeze that, and we can scroll through here and see all the pulses. I have done this probably 10 times, and I've gone through and counted all the pulses, and every single time, except for the times that I miscount one over here in the corner of the screen, there are 50 pulses there. So the point is that the tool is generating the output that it is advertised to generate, and it's doing so repeatably and reliably so far. Now, I doubt that most people are going to do this with the tool they buy. Look at the waveforms that it generates, but I thought it would be fun, and it gives me a chance to get better at using my scope. But it is nice to see that the tool is doing what it says. So now we will get out of that and unfreeze the screen, and we'll come down and adjust our time base again for the next mode, which is a 3.5 millisecond pulse width, and it's going to generate 100 pulses. So this is mode number 3, and there you have it. Beautiful example of a short time current ramp up, pintle hump greatly expanded there, and then you can see the difference in the time where it doesn't flatten out like the other ones did. It just drops right off. So kind of neat to see. So now we'll come back over here and go back down to 200 and see all of the pulses like we did before. And here we go. Yep. All right. So if we look at it in playback, you can see that all the pulses are there, all 100, just like the 50. I've counted them multiple times, and they're all there. All right, let's get out of this and come over here and unfreeze our screen. And now we'll go into the final mode, mode number 4, and that is going to run continuously it's going to generate 50 pulses every second and a half at a 7 milliseconds pulse width. So we'll look at the pulse width up close here real quick. And we won't have to freeze it because it will generate the pulses continuously, but I'm not going to let it run much longer than that because I think my battery is dying, both on the scope, as you can see, and on my on the tool. So here we go. Mode number 4 real quick. And there you go. And if we change the time base here, you can see all the pulses. So I'll freeze that and then switch it off. So here you go. You can see that in mode number 4, the continuous operation mode, the injector is just going to sit there and pulse away until you stop it. And you saw, several hundred pulses being generated in that short period of time. And, you could see that it's very stable. All the times that I've done this, I haven't seen anything to indicate that the tool is skipping a beat or, missing something somewhere along the line. So again, just one other way for us to, look at the tool and say, it has this level of quality versus being a total piece of garbage. So far so good with this thing, and again, I highly recommend it. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that this gives you at least something to, look at when it comes to understanding current ramps a little bit better. It certainly has for me, and most of all, thanks for watching.